Today we are analysing and critiquing My Immortal by Evanescence. This one has been a long time coming and I'm so excited to finally dive into it. You know, as a composer, Evanescence have been hugely inspirational to me over the years, so I'm always excited to dedicate some time to them on the channel. If you'd like to check out my other Evanescence content, the Evanescence Reactions playlist is down below. And after I'm done analysing this song, I am going to cover the Fallen album in its entirety, including the 3 bonus tracks. So if you'd like early access to that comprehensive full album analysis and critique, the early access link to my Patreon is down below in the description right now. But for now, we're going to focus on this song. It's the My Immortal band version. Arguably their biggest song ever, although I suppose Bring Me to Life would take that title. But this would be a really close second. So before we continue, please like and subscribe. And if you don't know me, my name is Ohakade. I'm the composer for the symphonic metal project Valkada. We recently put out a new song called Overload the Reactor. The link is also down below. I'd love to hear what you think. Without further ado, let's get right into it.
I'm so tired of being here,
So haunting.
suppressed by all my childish fears. And if you have to leave, I wish that you would just leave. Your presence still lingers here, and it won't leave me alone. These wounds won't seem to heal.
Beautiful
This
progressions.
pain is just too real. There's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears. When you'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears. And I held
I'm already welling up.
hand through
And I've heard this song so many times and it still gets me. Unbelievable. Let's talk about just what we've heard so far. A big part of the reason why this song hits so hard, we'll talk about Amy's voice in a sec, but that chord progression is really quite wonderful. The song starts on an A major chord. Major chords are generally considered to be quite bright and happy in terms of their emotional quality, right? If you just play this chord over and over again, like this, you see how as long as we stay on that chord, it's actually quite a pleasant, easygoing feeling. But as soon as we transition to the next chord, we're hitting the deep sadness. This moment is a little darker. So the minor chords usually have that darker sound. And what makes this song so haunting is it alternates between the light and the dark quite frequently in the chord progression. So the sequence is A major, C sharp minor, back to A major, C sharp minor. So we're in this constant flux between the dark and the light. Even without knowing music theory, you can hear that in the emotion that you hear from the piano, right? But that's a more theoretical explanation for why that works. Generally, when you're dealing with major chords, you're going to end up with a happy or bright sound. And when you're dealing with minor chords, you're going to end up with a darker, sadder sound. Evanescence do have songs where they focus way more on minor chords, such as Lithium, right? Lithium sounds way darker than this song, at least to my ears. You know, not everyone might hear it that way. But that's kind of an overall explanation for how they achieve the atmosphere of the verses anyway.
I'm so tired of being here, suppressed by all my childish fears. And if you have to leave, I wish that you would just leave. Your presence still lingers here.
You know, the pairing of this atmosphere with Amy's sort of naturally haunting vocal approach, it is interesting because when she's singing in the lower, more soft range like this, she has sort of a wider sound, almost operatic. But when she goes into the higher belts later on in the song, like in the pre-chorus and the chorus, it's more of a forward, sharper approach, like more of almost a musical theater or pop style than operatic. You would think it would be the other way around, but I think that is kind of what makes her singing technique so interesting, is she has the wider openness and the more delicate spoken delivery, and then it becomes a lot fuller and pointed in her higher belts. See how that sounds so much more pointed, a vocal delivery than where we just were. What a transition into the chorus. Something else that's interesting about this song, and I'm only just realizing it now, is that there is a lot of repetition in it. So let's look at the pre-chorus, for example.
Leave me alone. These wounds won't seem to heal. This pain is just too real.
So in the pre-chorus we have da 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 da. Da, 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 da. They're using repetition to really hit the lyrics home. Just to be clear, there is a difference between repetition and repetitiveness. I'm not saying that this song is repetitive, though I guess you could argue that if you wanted. But to me, it doesn't border on repetitive because we don't spend very long in this pre-chorus before hitting the chorus. It's a very impactful, repeated melody that quickly transitions into the chorus, which also repeats a lot in the vocal melody.
There's just too much that time cannot erase. When you cried, I'd wipe away all of your tears.
Then the chorus is basically that same melody repeated a couple more times.
You'd scream, I'd fight away all of your fears, and I held your hand through all of these years.
But of course the lyrics are different. So the story is developing, but they're sticking to that core melody to keep you engrossed. And then of course there's this iconic, beautiful development at the end of the chorus. Everything slows down. Like, even as a composer, I find it hard to convey or explain how that moment hits so hard. It is just kind of bringing everything down to an almost silence, and then hearing her voice say all of me. It's really quite genius because when she's saying you still have all of me, all you're hearing in that brief moment is her voice. It reflects the lyrics so well for that reason. Absolutely stunning. And now we have some beautiful string parts. I also love the high-pitched drifting synth that we have in this second verse. Really pretty touch. Counterpoint harmony in the background. That transition into a slightly different vocal technique for the pre-chorus, paired with the move to another minor chord, really hits so hard. I also love how she added a little trill to the vocal for the second pre-chorus here to add that little bit of variety and make it seem not so repetitive, where she goes, erase. You know that little moment? So in the first pre-chorus, she's going, Time cannot erase. Quite simple. Then there's a slight trill in the second time round. Time cannot erase. Amazing touch. I love that. And that is a reason why I do prefer the band version of this song over the Fallen standard version. We'll discuss more on that in a bit. You can also hear more counterpoint harmony in the second chorus. There's a sort of la da 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 in the background. Listen closely. Very faint, but very pretty. Stunning video too, by the way. You know, I'm not the best at analyzing music videos, but it goes without saying that they completely nailed the visuals, the aesthetic for this song. I believe it is a fountain in Spain, Barcelona, if I'm correct. And like just the dress, the mood, everything totally hits. One of the greatest bridges of all time, potentially. The tension, the emotion, the swell. Wow. What a cathartic release. Now, obviously, this moment here is what makes the band version, because we have the band doing their thing. It probably is a point of contention amongst the fan base which version of My Immortal is the best. I do personally prefer this version. The powerful entrance of the band here really takes the song to the next level. And I even remember when I first heard this song as a teenager, I was watching MTV or whatever with my younger brother, and we were both familiar with Fallen because I think this version was not on the standard Fallen edition, so we had never heard this version before. We were only familiar with the standard version of this song, and as soon as we heard this song, I remember my little brother, he was like, this is so much better. And that always stuck with me, and I think he was correct. But of course, you know, everyone has their own taste. But I do love this version very much. Also, Amy's voice has matured a bit in this version, so like the power that this bridge is owed is totally there in this recording. Let's just appreciate it one more time. Amazing. And it's funny how it kind of goes hard, you know. There's a bit of rage there. Bit of extra angst. Bringing it back down. Another reason why the band version is so epic is these extra little vocal harmonies that you hear in places, such as that part. There's an almost R&B flavor to some of these vocal melodies, and Amy, of course, has made it known that she's a big fan of artists like Whitney Houston. You know, she covered Whitney Houston. I Want to Dance with Somebody. There is an element of that R&B edge to a lot of the way she writes her vocals, and it really just adds a whole other layer of depth I'm bringing the piano up in the octave for this too, at the very end here. Just the cherry on top, literally. Quite a flawless song. I mean, what can you say? I do have some final thoughts to share on it though. So, of course, as you can see, I absolutely love this track, and I'm a huge Evanescence fan. But on this channel, I do like to be objective in my critiques and think about what I honestly think could be improved, or what tiny little aspects could have been different to make it that little bit more perfect. Honestly, one thought I do have about this version of the song is that the production is a little bit overly polished, just a tad, especially compared to the standard Fallen version, which was based on their demo that they recorded for the Origin album, which I've also covered on the channel. Naturally, if you are comparing this highly polished, more mature professional recording to a demo they made when they were teenagers, this is going to sound a little bit more shiny. It doesn't have the raw edge that the earlier version does. That is not to say that it's better, but that is one reason why I could see this version of the song maybe falling down in the rankings a little bit. Like one example of the slight overproduction, I'd say, is in the way the vocals were treated. So let's listen to this part right here again. If you really pay attention, you'll see that the pitch correction on some of that is a little much. I'm not trying to knock the band for using pitch correction on an album, because it's basically industry standard. Every single group, band, solo artist does that, but especially compared again to the earlier recording when there was less pitch correction used, it is quite evident here. There are some songs on Fallen where the pitch correction is more evident than others. For some reason on this song, it seems way more evident than some of the other tracks. I do think it is only because we have another earlier version of the song to compare it to. Again, that is not to say that Amy needs pitch correction or she's a bad singer or anything. I'm purely talking about the choices from a production standpoint. But I'd like to finish this analysis by mentioning that Ben Moody deserves a lot of credit for this song. I believe he is the primary songwriter for this one, and while there's a lot of controversy regarding what happened between himself and Amy, simply like on an academic level, this is an amazingly written song, and I believe Amy did actually write the bridge, which arguably is the best part. And you can actually find a really early recording of this song. Another fan pointed this out to me. It's a recording that I was not familiar with, but it's like an earlier demo than Origin even, where the bridge is different, I believe. Like the lyrics of the song are different, the bridge is different, and it's just an interesting perspective, the process that went into making this song what it is. So I'd recommend checking that out. That about concludes my analysis for this song. Again, I'm about to jump right into Fallen, the entire album. So if you'd like to join me for that, right now on Patreon, the early access link is in the description. Again, this is going to be a 14-track deep analysis, including the 3 bonus tracks, and I'm so excited. Let me know what your thoughts are on this particular song, what you thought of my critique and analysis. Again, my name is Ohak Cade. I'm the composer for the symphonic metal project Valcata. We recently put out a song called Overload the Reactor. The link is also down below. I'd love to hear what you think. If you'd like your own reaction requests, early access and polls, again, join me on Patreon. And there's also a link down below to my full reaction database spreadsheet if you're curious about all of the other music I've covered on the channel. And be sure to check out my Evanescence Reactions playlist for my other Evanescence content. Otherwise, please like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, and I will talk to you guys again soon. Thanks so much and take care.